Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Story with Student Life. I'm Tierza Watts, the Director of Student Life, and I'm so excited today to have Angie Adame with us. She is with our Wellness Center and specifically works with our competitive sports programs, and it is the season and time to A, learn about those, but B, find out how do I register or when do I register. So we're going to get to know Angie and then jump into some questions about competitive sports. So Angie, I'd love it if you'd introduce yourself, tell us about you, how you ended up at CU Denver, what you do. And then if you wouldn't mind, I love for our CU Denver students to learn about our staff. Is there something fun that you participated in college that was meaningful to you that you'd like to talk about?
Yes. So thank you, Tierza. My name is Angie Adame. I'm the competitive sports coordinator. I made my way to CU Denver actually as a grad student. I was a student in the business school, and I worked as Brett Lagerblade's competitive sports program manager in this department. So I was kind of the student helping him build this stuff up from the ground up with intramural sports and club sports. So that was kind of my introduction to CU Denver and to the competitive sports area, at least here on this campus. I have been involved with campus recreation since my undergrad at Texas A&M. That's where I first started working in intramural sports as a scorekeeper. So that was kind of my start in all of this. And I would say, aside from participating in intramural sports when I was in college, I think the funnest thing I was a part of was a student organization called Aggies Reaching Out. We basically helped under-resourced and lower income communities and students with helping them learn a little bit more about college and how they can make it a reality for themselves. And so that was a big part of my experience at Texas A&M, and we got to work with students in the Houston area. So that was a little bit of my experience there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you, besides helping our students learn about this, I actually participated in intramurals all 4 years of undergrad.
Awesome.
And I participated in some crazy things like water polo.
Yes.
I chose to be the goalie because it was the only position where as you're treading water, you can use both hands.
Yeah.
So I learned some interesting things about sports. I was also a campus champion, my flag football team. Take my word for it, I'm not a great athlete. I was the person running around just trying to grab flags, but I was on a team called Private Stock. And
amazing.
The same group of girls, all from freshman year through senior year, and we finally won. So I was proud of that, even though I'm not really athletic. But I loved intramurals. Played volleyball. We also did something called broom ball, which was
I've heard of it. I've never played it, but I have seen
like
it
basketballs
on campus.
And brooms, and like you're kind of like soccer with brooms. It was strange, but we had fun doing that. So I know we have lots of students that just want to get out and play and get some exercise. So let's start with intramurals. Can you tell us what is intramurals? Because some students aren't familiar with that term.
Yeah. So intramural sports is, the way to look at it is that it's the recreational gateway into sports. And so if you're looking to just have a great time with your friends, to meet new people, you're looking for a way to unwind after the school week, and just go play outside or indoors, wherever it is, intramural sports is the place to go. We try to offer a different number of traditional and non-traditional offerings for our students, so that whether they actually want to get outside and play some soccer, or they want to do some esports, that's something they can absolutely do through intramural sports as well. So honestly, it's a low commitment, easy way to get involved on campus and just to meet new people. And so that's kind of the way we want students to see intramural sports. It's the easiest way to get active and get out there and find your way to play. And so that's typically what we think of when we think of intramural sports.
Awesome. Yeah, to me, it was like going to gym class, except you're playing against other classes and having fun. And we would always go to dinner afterwards, or we would, ride
just
to the
competing against other students on campus. That's the thing. You're playing, you're having fun with other peers on campus. And so it's super relaxed, low commitment, just meant to be recreational and fun for students.
Awesome. So I know the other thing that falls under competitive sports is our club sports. So will you tell us what that means?
Yeah. So club sports, the way that I always try to explain it to people who may not know what club sports is, it's almost like when you're younger and you're joining league soccer or AAU basketball. It's that same type of setup where you're going to weekly practices, you're traveling on the weekends. There's a certain amount of dues you may have to pay in order to be a part of those things. And so that's kind of how club sports works. The biggest difference is that since it is a student organization, it is all student run, student led. You know, teams can have coaches who come and help with practices, X's and O's, starting lineups, but the students are the ones who are running the operations of all of these organizations. They're the one determining the budgets, where y'all are traveling, competing, what universities you're going to go to and get to play some scrimmages or compete in a tournament with. And so it's kind of that higher level of activity. There's definitely a higher level of competition for sure. Although some of our clubs do have recreational and competitive teams or traveling teams and a practice squad, you can definitely expect a higher level of dedication and commitment with our club sports, kind of similar to how participating in those league sports outside of school was.
Okay. I think the next kind of natural question is, obviously there's probably a registration process for both of those, be it registering with a team or trying out for a team. Can you talk to us about how you register and if there are any costs associated with either of those programs?
Yeah, so right now, fortunately, our intramural sports and club sports registrations all are housed through imleagues.com. So for intramural sports, you simply go to the imleagues.com website. You do have to create an account. You just create this with your CU Denver email address, and you have access to our university's offerings on imleagues. So for intramural sports, you would simply click on our intramural sports tab, and you would see all our offerings for the semester. You can go and check out which sports are available when their registration opens up. And if you're interested in signing up for a particular sport, say we have our spike ball tournament coming up and that's what you want to register for, you simply click on it, create a team, and it'll ask you for all of your information. There's only a $5 cost associated with all of our intramural sports offerings. It's always $5, whether it's a tournament or a season, per individual player. So that one is fairly simple in terms of registering. As long as you have an account with your CU Denver email address, you'll have access to register for all of those things. Yes.
Do you have to have a team already together? What if you're like an individual person, you're like, hey, I'd love to play intramural volleyball, but I don't know anyone else on campus who wants to play volleyball. Like,
Yeah,
do you need matching?
Yep, absolutely. So we do have a free agent spot for intramural sports.
Okay, awesome.
So students can register as a free agent and then are able to contact all of the team captains to be able to see if they're accepting free agents or looking for an additional player to join their team. That way, these students also have an opportunity to be able to play as well. And oftentimes we do have some of these free agents who will stop by on the first night of matches as well. And we can help connect them to some of the team captains that are present for teams and see if they can get on their rosters. So that is an option available to them. For club sports, it's a little bit different in terms of costs with it. The registration is almost nearly the same. The only thing that we ask for students who are interested in joining teams is that they reach out to the presidents first to find out more information about the team, what the commitments look like, what dues would be like before they officially join the rosters, because there are some specific waivers that club sports members do need to fill out. And then in terms of the cost, that varies per team. So it depends on what their dues are established. Some teams have dues as low as $50, and some teams for the equipment and what they need can get kind of towards $300, $400, just depending on what the needs are for the club. So that's something we can find out through communications with the president, but those dues do vary. And I have also seen that teams have varying dues for those who are on their traveling team versus just recreational or on their practice squad.
Okay.
So those would just kind of depend on what the team needs.
Okay. I know that one of the common questions that Student Life gets, because our club sports are registered student organizations with my office, is, hey, I want to start a XYZ club. Like I remember last year, there was a young woman who came by one of our booths who was like, hey, I want to start club women's basketball. And so of course we referred them over to you all to talk about that process. Could you share what are the club sports that we currently have? And if somebody's interested in starting one that we don't have, what's the process? Because I know that's involved.
Right. Yeah. So currently we have 10 club sports teams. So that's going to be cycling, men's basketball, men's lacrosse, men's soccer, men's volleyball, powerlifting, swimming, tennis, women's basketball, and wrestling. So those are our currently active 10 sports that we have. If a student is interested in starting up a new sport team, our new requirements do ask that they start out in student life first and meet that registered student organization status and are approved in that for at least one semester. Once they are able to at least meet that minimum requirement, we do have a list of other requirements, such as they must have at least one other school they are able to compete against with this sport, must be vetted through risk management for safety purposes and things of that such. But I think the biggest one is making sure that they know to start out in student life initially and get that one semester active before they are able to apply for our program, just because we do operate a little bit differently from student life and have our own kind of umbrella in this department. That is where we kind of push them in that direction to be able to start off. And then we do have an application process every other year for those teams who are meeting those minimum requirements to then present to the club sports program and provide us with some answers that we're looking for in terms of, what are their budget needs, their facility needs, what activity would look like, et cetera. And so then after that presentation process, we would make decisions on who would be extended an invitation to join our program.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. That helps with those common questions that we get as well. So as we wrap up, my last question is, I know that there are different deadlines for things throughout the year based on when seasons are starting. I think I remember seeing that there's a looming deadline for something with Intramurals. So are there any deadlines, knowing today is August 26th, 2022? Are there any upcoming deadlines to get involved that we should know as we wrap up?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of intramural sports, currently registration is open for spike ball. We have a one-day tournament going on for that. We have a one-day tournament going on for cornhole. Registration is also open for that. And we currently have registration open for fantasy football, which is super nice. It's virtual. You can do it from home. So the upcoming deadlines for registrations for that, for spike ball, it will be September 6th. That is the last day to register a team for spike ball. The last day to register for fantasy football in order to get everyone set up for draft day would be September 4th. And the last day to register for cornhole and create a team for that would be September 12th. So those are our upcoming deadlines. In terms of upcoming registrations that are opening up, we do have 4v4 volleyball happening on October, September 26th. So registration will be opening up on the 12th and closing out on September 23rd. So that's kind of what's going on with intramural sports. In terms of club sports, there aren't really set deadlines because it all depends on when teams decide to essentially finalize their rosters. If they do, if they have tryouts, they will establish a time to have their final roster. But a lot of teams do allow members to join throughout the school year. So don't think that it's too late if, September is already done and teams are practicing. Always feel free to reach out to a club president or an officer, and they can provide you with more information. More than likely, they're happy to have more members. So feel free to reach out. It never hurts to ask.
Never hurts to have a deep bench. And sometimes you don't know, a team may be practicing, but they haven't filled all the spots to have enough people to travel or to compete. Yeah. So
right. Things are always changing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me for the Inside Story with Student Life. Folks, we're going to end this video now, but I do want to share that in the show notes, I'll put Angie's contact information, and I'll also link that website. Again, it was intramurals.com.
Oh, imleagues.com.
imleagues.com. So I will have that link below, as well as a link to the Wellness Center website and the competitive sports information. So Angie, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. This was fun. I love getting to talk about competitive sports when I can. So this was a great day to spend my Friday.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being part of the Student Life team as we look at your connection to us with Student Orgs. Bye, everybody.
Bye.